Hello everyone and welcome to Slapendipity, Hobos of Happy Slappy Town, episode 70. My name is Devon, but you can call me Gibby, and I'm here with Eric, who you can call Eric.
Hello.
We are once again talking about Japan.
We still have
very
lots
long
to
journey.
discuss.
So much to discuss, it's going to be a couple more episodes. I'm glad that we went with this sort of theme topic-based approach instead of just, trying to tell it chronologically.
Yeah, that would have been a challenge to do in itself.
We would have, stumbled over details and be like, wait, what happened first? This, and the audience at home would have
Well, so
been
we did this
don't
on day
care.
3. Actually, it was day 8.
They're just we want to hear a compelling narrative. We want to live in your shoes on your travels.
Whoa.
Wow, that's what people listen to podcasts for.
I don't know if they could fit in the gap between my pinky toe and the rest of my shoe.
Well, you got some big piggies.
Whoa. You think so?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen your toes. Anyway, we're talking about... Today, we're talking about today's theme.
Which is...
Arcades! Yay!
Yes.
So, Japan. Do you want to explain what a
loves
gacha
arcades.
is? You want to explain first gachas?
Oh my
what
goodness.
are gachas? Tell me about
Okay.
gachas.
So, gachas is short. I think it's for gashapon, like Gashapon, or gacha capsules. I'm not entirely sure. But they are, in imagine like a gumball machine, where you take a quarter except much bigger, and it's a plastic ball, and inside the plastic ball is a cheap toy of some kind. Sometimes they're very little snacks, but usually it's like a keychain or a pin, something to that effect, or like a very 3-inch tall plastic statue, and on the machine itself it'll say, it'll have advertisement for, this is a Gundam gacha machine, this is a gacha machine for the Tokyo Sky Tree, this is a gacha machine for anything and everything under the sky, more or less. And it'll have original things. If you listen to the previous episode, I was collecting spirit animal keychains, and I was getting them from gacha machines, and it was just made by an artist who was hired and sponsored by whatever company, and he just made these cool little keychain guys. And it's all random. You don't get to pick. Whatever the advertisement on the machine, it'll display, let's say, 6 things that you can get. And so, you then have a 1 in 6 chance of getting the thing you want. So if there's a rabbit, a goat, a panther, a tiger, a lion, and a squirrel, you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting the squirrel or the panther. And then you could put more money in, you can try to win more to get the whole set, but then you'll get duplicates, etc. And that's how they getcha.
They gotcha.
They gotcha because you put in 500 yen to get the panther, but you got the squirrel, but you really, really want the panther, so you put another 500 and then another 500 and then another 500. Until you either cut yourself off, or you never start, or you just are lucky and get it within 1 or 2 tries. And that is a gacha machine. And sometimes they'll just be as I said, the Tokyo Sky Tree has its own gacha machine on the top floor, and you can just get pins from it, and that's all there is. It's very cool. Some stores will have 1 or 2 machines just out front, like a pawn shop for figures or something, or old retro things. And then sometimes there's a built-in, I want to say cave. It's not a store, but it's just walls upon walls of gacha machines stacked on top of each other. And they can be in train stations and shops and everywhere and anywhere, just like the vending machines in Japan to get a drink from whatever. So they're very... I was about to say
ubiquitous. Ubiquitous.
Yes, and they're ever present. And, and it can do licensed and non-licensed. So you can get Winnie the Pooh, you can get Gundam, you can get random, self-made spirit animals, as I said. Now I will just repeat myself. So that's what a gacha machine is.
Yep. So gacha machines, again, we do have them in America. Typically they're at, I mean, I recognize them from being outside of like supermarkets when I was a kid. There'd be like a gumball machine and then a gacha machine, and they'd be in little capsules. They're the concept, the inspiration behind Pokemon, which is the idea of catching bugs and putting them into these little gacha containers and being like, I have my little ball with my little creature inside. Like that's what birthed Pokemon. Pokemon means pocket monster. Originally it was called capsule monsters. And the idea was that you travel around with those balls. It's also what Capsule Corp in Dragon Ball Z is. The idea is that they shrunk down things like cars and buildings to fit into capsules. So you put gacha capsules in your pocket, and then you're like, oh, this is my car, and you throw it out, and then your car's there. So they're in America, but they're everywhere in Japan. You go anywhere, there's going to be at least 6 of them. And then, as Eric was saying, there's entire stores in mall-type areas that are just, you walk in, and there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Crazy. I've noticed in the last couple years that things like blind bag toys have gotten very, very popular in America, where like you go to Walmart or Target and it's like, you can get one of 6 Minecraft figures for like, $6 or whatever. And I think it's as someone who grew up with Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, I think it's very predatory to be like, it only costs a couple dollars, but like, you want all 6, don't you? But you can buy 6 and get duplicates and then like trade with your friends or whatever. No, I think that's predatory. I hate it. I also still love those things. But it's not too late for you. It's not too late for the children. We can protect them.
Claws. Would you say that about card games?
Yeah. Baseball cards, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
All of it. Okay.
Etc. Yeah, blind boxes. But in Japan, that's just like what most stuff is. Like here, it's like part of the fun is the blind box. There, that's just like what most merchandise we found was. Almost everything was a blind box.
Well, with gacha machines and stuff. If you went to the grocery store, you weren't getting a blind box of food.
No, not in food, but every merchandise thing. Most of it was blind boxes.
They had the options of blind boxes. You could still buy the product you wanted.
Not really. No, you couldn't. Anyway.
Yeah, you could. I could have bought the last Roxy plush from Freddy 5.
That's an American product that happened to be sold in Japan. When we went to an anime store and I wanted to buy a pin for Jujutsu Kaisen, they only had blind bags where you get one of 6 pins of the characters. But I couldn't just get the logo of the show. I had to get a blind bag.
Yes, but you also could have got a figure of Yuji Itadori just picking it up off the shelf. But I will agree, like, keychains and pins, a lot of the time were blind bags. Yes.
Smaller items, yes. So Japan loves their blind boxes and blind bags. What they also like are claw machines and crane games. Well, when you say arcade, I'm thinking Donkey Kong. Arcades for them.
Why would Donkey Kong be an arcade?
Because that's like Pac-Man.
The old, I see.
Like arcade. That's like what an arcade is. Like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, maybe some pinball machines.
You mean Tekken?
Yeah, maybe some like Street Fighter. Anyway, Time Crisis. Time Crisis 3. Anyway, in Japan...
Night of the Living Dead?
House of the Dead, you mean?
House of the Dead.
Yeah. In Japan, an arcade is a bunch of crane games. They do, of course, have normal, quote, arcade games. And some like way cooler ones than we do, actually.
They're so cool! I love them so much, and now I'm gonna never be able to play them again, and I'm gonna be sad about it. Can I go? Can I...
You can go. Let me just mention the Pokemon. There's a Pokemon one where you do a little Pokemon battle, and then you have an opportunity to catch a Pokemon, and if you catch it, it actually prints out a little chip that's randomly distributed in the machine, and it gives you a little chip. And then using a NFC scanner thing, you can take your little chip and you can put it on the console, and then it summons that actual Pokemon. And so you can, like, actually battle and catch and collect and train Pokemon that you catch in the machine, and it gives you a little card that you can then, like, continue to play with. And it was addicting, and I had to stop myself because I had too many, and I said, I'm glad these aren't in America because I would have every single one.
Yeah.
Very fun game. Genius idea.
Yep.
As Eric is about to talk about, they have this same concept for other franchises, but instead of using plastic, I keep calling them chips. Maybe puck would be a better term. Instead of having plastic pucks, they just use like cards that have NFC
Yes.
chips in them, and those seem to be easier to like walk around with and transport. I know they had a Dragon Ball Z one, which was cool, and I didn't let myself get addicted to. And then they had other ones that Eric did let himself get addicted to, and he can tell you about those.
So the ones I played, I have no idea what the names were. I did take pictures, but there's glare and stuff, so I don't know. But the one that I saw someone else playing was like a real time strategy game, and it was like a war game. So you had like your units from your military of like your your heavy gunners, and this is set in like, I don't know, 1700s China, maybe. I'm not entirely sure on the setting. It was all in Japanese, and I just did it for the gameplay. I have no idea what the story was. However, so you had your units like spearmen, swordsmen, archers, etc. And like Devin said, like you put in your money to like play the game. You maybe have to get a Bandai Namco card to like save your progress and stuff if you care about that. And you pick your faction and whatever, and it'll print out 3 cards of your starting faction of like the main leader guy and his 2 right-hand man, and then you like play through story modes or like with like PvP, and you like have war like games with these cards. So like there is a monitor in front of you like you would anywhere else, but then there's basically plastic that extends from the arcade cabinet, and it's kind of like a Wii U touchpad, like an LCD screen extending outwards, so it's flat like a table, and you put your cards on it, and I have no idea how, but I'm guessing the LCD screen on the bottom, that is the table, reads the cards like, I don't know, code in it or whatever, and it shows on
It's
the
an NFC
monitor
chip.
that
Yeah, it's the
NFC.
same tech. It's the same technology that's in your credit card. That's also in like Amiibos and Skylanders and stuff like that.
I forgot the acronym. There's too many
Yes, near
acronyms.
field communication (NFC).
Thank you. So you put the card on the table, LCD screen. It shows a picture on the monitor that you're looking at of your unit in relation to where they are on the thingy. So like the character pops up, and then if you move them on the LCD screen table, you move them on the monitor. And then you can do like spin it in a circle to activate a special effect, or, slide it back and forth to activate a special effect. And then you can move the cards on the LCD table to position them on the field where it'll show on the monitor. And it's just really cool. I enjoy using my tactile senses, so having a card that I push up and it moves up on the screen, it was just like very satisfying for like the thing I am doing with my hand to be appearing on the screen. It kind of reminds me of like AR or VR. Don't have a ton of experience with those, but that's what I imagine. So there was that war one that was super cool. And you can, if you do the story mode, you can like pull for units for just playing the game, and you spend 100 yen to like get another card that's another unit, or you just skip by it and you stick with the cards you already have. And yeah, it was really fun. I think I played like 7 chapters because Devin wanted to watch the Thunderbolts movie, so I went to the arcade and played this game.
Loser.
And Gesundheit. And there was another one that was like, there was a Gundam one that was a very similar concept, just a lot simpler and a bit more streamlined, where you get your Gundams, the mecha, and the pilot, and you can match them up so the pilot is in the mecha, and that will give different stat bonuses, and then you move your Gundam like onto a field and they'll fight other units and they'll blow up bases and stuff like that. You move them around to use special effects, special abilities. Also very cool. There was another one I saw that was boat-based, where basically battleships were anime girls, and that'll be a running theme later. And these... you had, like, the controls were, like, a steering wheel and, like, a throttle, like you would on a boat. So you had to, you know, somewhat accurately, like, as if you were driving a boat, like, adjust the throttle, move the steering wheel, and, like, that would move the, you know, the character you were controlling, like a ship, and you had to fire missiles and stuff. And it was all very boat-themed, and you had these cards that would be printed out, and you just kind of dumped it in, like, the NFC dock reader. You didn't really interact with the cards at all, which was kind of disappointing, but I do think it was useful to learn not all arcade games are created the same. And then there was a Gundam fighting game that was a 2v2 that was pretty cool. And then I played JoJo's The Animation Last Stand arcade game, which is a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure battle royale game where you pick a character, you get their stand, and you just play a battle royale like Fortnite or something, or PUBG, and you just be the last one standing and you win. But all of the stands, the special powers, are recreated as best as they could, which is pretty well for some of them. Some of them, I think, they had to take certain liberties just to format them into a battle royale game. But still very cool, and when I did a special move, I was like, that's the move, just like from the show. Whoa! You didn't get any cards from it. But it was super cool. Those were the arcade games I played, not including crane games. 10 out of 10. Would go to Japanese arcade any day of the week.
Sure. They also had a lot of rhythm games. A lot of, like, drum games. They kind of all looked like Guitar Hero. You'd, like, hit the drum and it went bum, 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 bum. A lot of drum games. A lot of arcade games with the little cards. I found those to be not appealing. Because if I'm going to be sucked into buying a million of something just to get a hit of dopamine, it has to be Pokemon themed. So it could be the greatest game in the world. I would never have played Chinese tactic battles or whatever Eric was talking about. With that said, I think the technology's awesome, and I wish arcades in America were, like, bigger to the point where we could have a culture like that.
Yeah.
So the first arcade that we went to was a very tall, vertical building in Tokyo. And the first 3 or so floors were just crane games. And then the next 2 floors were, like, those Gundam fighting games, and then the last 2 floors were, like, music rhythm-based games. So, like, arcades know that these different genres are very different things. Crane, fighting, and then rhythm are, like, different things. Which is good, because you don't want, like, loud rhythm games next to someone just trying to, like, win a little plushie. But the thing that we spent most of our time, all of our money, and all of our sadness on, were the crane games.
Yes.
My experience with crane and similar type games is from, like, boardwalks and arcade question marks, like mall arcades. I'm not talking Chuck E. Cheese. I'm talking, like, you step into the thing and it's like, hey, it's $1 to try to win the giant horsey plush, and then you try it and you lose, and you're like, well, I guess that's just a scam. And they're like, yep, it's a scam. And you go, okay. But we're in Japan. So, money is free. Money doesn't count in Japan when you're on vacation.
Lols.
Also, you laugh, or we laughed then, we cry now. Also, the yen is so weak to the dollar that things were legitimately pretty cheap. And so what we would sort of find is that there would be these claw machines. And they would often have big plushes, like a big horsey, or like the Pokemon Lapras. And you move the claw over, and you hit the button, and it goes down, and it grabs it, and then it pulls it up, and then as it pulls up, it, like, intentionally shakes it, or the claws get loose, and it kind of just, like, throws it the wrong way or drops it halfway to the hole. And so it kind of takes, like, a minimum of 4 tries to pick it up, which is how they make their money. And if you miss, that's your fault. and if you hit it right on the money, it's possible it falls into a position in which it's impossible to pick up, because, like, the claw will go down, and then it'll grip its neck, and the neck is too small to fill up the hole, so, like, oh, it's upside down now, and you can't possibly get Lapras, blah, blah, blah. So, like, it is still a little scummy, but you go in knowing that the goal of the game is not to pick it up, the goal of the game is to, across multiple attempts, have it fall in the hole. That's fine. That's a claw machine game, I get it. What I found kind of interesting is that the machines can be calibrated in wildly different ways. I'm guessing they have a way of telling the machine, like, how strong it should grip, or what the size of the item inside of it is. So, we were at one arcade in the beginning of the journey, and they had these little glass slimes from Dragon Quest, and they were all different colors. And I probably spent like 1,000 yen, so like $8, so like 8 tries, trying to grab this stupid little thing, because the claw would go, and it would grab it perfectly, and it would lift it like an inch off the ground, and it would slip out. And I went, oh darn, and I tried like 8 times, I just couldn't get it. I ended up winning 1, and then none of the other colors, because it cost too much money. Later, toward the end of the trip, we saw those same Dragon Quest glass slimes at a different arcade, and I guess the grip strength was just adjusted differently, and so as long as you hit it perfectly in the center, you'd win every single time. If you just hit the slime perfectly, it would grab it, pick it up, drop it right in the hole. The calibration of the strength of the claw was different, so it's just an instant win. So one place, it cost me $8 to win a slime. Another place, it cost me about 60 cents to win a slime, because I could do it on my first try. And so this sort of taught us pretty early on that some places could be more scammy than others, depending on how they adjusted their claws. And that the real winner is the arcade, because they got your money.
What? Just like a casino or something? That's crazy.
Well, I think a casino is a little different, because you can technically profit. At an arcade, the best you're doing is getting something that, like, you didn't really want for slightly cheaper than maybe you could have bought it for.
I disagree.
Some of these toys... What do you mean you disagree? So, like, some of these toys, you could go to a secondhand store, and they'd be like, hey, this Goku is $40. You can buy it for $40. Or you could try to win it at the arcade across the street. So if you want that Goku... If you want that Goku, you could possibly get it for less than its sale price by winning it at the arcade. Or you could waste that money and still not win it, and then you just lost the money. So that's the gamble. Yeah. But there's no chance of profiting.
Well, you can
unlike a
profit.
Casino.
You
not
can,
if you don't own a store.
If you get the Goku by only spending $10 and then sell it for $40, that's $30.
But that's just so unrealistic to happen. Whereas at a casino, you can literally profit.
So from our experience at one of the arcades during the middle of the trip, I believe, we were really fiending on arcades, and we won a bunch of figures first try, no problem, multiple tries in a row. And they were like $20 or so. And we were like, well, I got this from just putting in 100, 200 yen, and I just won it first try. Whoopsies. And we did that consistently. However, this is probably just because of the type of game it was. So instead of like a crane game, it was like a ring, like a metal ring, and there were eye screws and a plank of wood, and all you had to do was drop the ring so that when it pulled up, it was under the eye ring, so that when it pulled up, it also pulled the eye ring, which also pulled the plank of wood, which would set free a prize.
Yes,
and
that game...
very good at that.
I really liked that game. As Eric just described, it was basically you put a ring around a hook, using claw machine controls. And I liked it because it was physics-based. Like, they could rig it a little bit by having the machine introduce artificial shake into the swing of the rope, but ultimately, like, the machine doesn't know how close you are to winning. It can't on the fly adjust how strong or how weak a claw grab is going to be. Once the string drops, it's just gravity and physics. So, like, I did enjoy that game more as a test of skill as opposed to just, like, throwing money at a problem until you win.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I did enjoy that. It was fun. One of the things that I definitely want to talk about is just the idea that winning is sort of its own prize, as far as I was concerned. Like, winning the game, getting the thing in the hole, getting the hook, the ring around the hook. Some of the other games we'll probably describe later include, like, a little piston is moving back and forth, and you have to time it perfectly to fall into a hole. Can you time it perfectly? I don't know. Or a ring of lights is in front of you, and the light is going around in a circle, and you're supposed to stop it on a specific spot to win the jackpot. Can you stop it on the spot? I don't know. And so I found myself wanting to win the game almost more than I wanted the prize. And so
And this
I
was an
felt very fulfilled playing and winning the games on top of getting the prize at the end.
Yeah. And this was an interesting distinction we learned about each other, because I would not play a game unless there was a thing I wanted to win. Like, I don't care about the food or the winning in it of itself. I want whatever the prize is.
No, I just like
Because
winning.
and this is the distinction, and
Yeah.
this is the interesting part.
So I saw
Humans
Eric.
being different.
One of the types of games is there would be a box,
One of
and
the more
there's
common ones, I think.
one of the more common ones. There's a plastic hook on the box, and what you do is you drop a claw, and the claw goes down, and as it gets to the bottom, the claw closes like a hand. And so if you position it right, one of the claw hooks will go in this little plastic thing, the little plastic nub, and as the claw then raises up, it will tug on the plastic hook, which will then move the box. But it moves the box, like, very slightly. And the closer the box gets to the hole, the less force there is, because the closer it is to where the hook is starting from. So in the beginning, you might tug the box halfway toward the hole, and you're like, oh my god, I'm halfway there. But then each time you tug it, it's with less and less force, because it has a further, a less amount to go. Basically, again, it's just a physics thing. It tricks you, it's scummy, but it's also fun. So Eric was playing one of those, trying to get some anime boy I've never heard of. And I was just walking around. And I just see a machine I'd never seen before. And ended up being the hook one that we became really good at. And I'm like, oh, this is the only hook machine in this whole place. I want to see what this hook game is. The prize is this extremely lewd succubus anime girl wearing almost no clothing, with many curves and a blush on her face and devil horns. This is a very lewd R-rated figure in the machine. And I could not care less about this figure. If anything, I did not want to own this figure. But I wanted to play the claw game.
And you played it anyway.
I want to get the ring around the hook. And then I win it first try. So you're over there trying to, like, do your little claw game hook thing for a while, and I walk back over and I'm like, Eric, I just won this. I don't know what to do with her. What's her name?
I go, Devon, that's Albedo from Overlord. She's,
of course,
like, a main love interest for the main character or something.
Of course. So yes, that's what got me addicted to winning as opposed to caring about the prizes. So while Eric might be like, I'm going to win Luffy, I was like, I'm going to win as many games as I can in a shortest amount of time to increase my dopamine levels. It got pretty bad to one point.
Yeah.
I mean, it got bad at multiple points, but I specifically mean that the arcade only had 2 of those hook machines that Eric described, and they were right next to each other. And how the game works is you move the claw, and then you press the button, and then it lowers, and then it raises. And then once it raises, it has to sort of reset back into its position. So I would say that there's probably 20 seconds per attempt. Like, you move it, you press the button, and then you have to wait 20 seconds until you're ready to try again, because the claw has to make all of its physical movements.
It drops, it raises, it resets into position.
So what we both found ourselves doing at different points is we put our money into both machines. And so I would use the left machine and move the claw, put it in position, slap the button to have it start automating its process. Take a step to the right, use the second machine, put it into place, hit the button, put it in its position, take a step back to the left, watch to see if I won, wait for it to be done, move in position, do it again, take a step to the right, move in position, do it again. So I was playing 2 machines at once because I was so addicted to winning. It was very fun.
Yeah, not a great time though.
It was a great time.
Especially hearing it now, I'm just like,
it was a great time. The funnier aspect of like how all this
tragic
works,
aspect.
the funnier aspect is that all of the machines typically had one prize in them. So there's like one giant plush or one of these boxes. And so in two scenarios, either you win the prize, and so now it needs to be replaced with a new prize, or you accidentally push the prize into a location in which it's now impossible to win. You must get the attention of a staff member, and they come over, and again, they either replace a prize if you won, or they put the prize back into its starting position if you somehow knocked it out of bounds. So when Eric and I were playing some of these games, again, specifically the claw machine with the hook, or just some of the other games that we got very good at over time, we were in this position of, we'd put money in, we'd win the prize, we'd take a step back, we'd wait for 2 minutes for the guy to come over, he'd put in the new prize, we would immediately win it, we'd take a step back, the guy would have to come over, he'd put in the new prize, and it got to the point where the guy just kind of stood there, and I won it 3 times in a row. I'm like, I won the prize, he replaced it. I won the prize, he replaced it. I won the prize, he replaced it. Then he walked away. Because I was just too good at this one specific claw game. The one hook game.
Yeah.
They stopped stalking one of the machines.
I think that was a subtle hint.
I'm guessing to stop us from doing what we were doing, where we just kept winning both of them over and over and over.
It's kind of like a, gosh, I don't know what you would call it, but just like a courtesy of just like, hey, we're low-key cutting you off.
Yep, go home.
You're drunk, go home.
Yeah, what I found interesting about, and again, I kind of talked about this with the Dragonite, with the Dragon Quest slimes. Dragon Quest slimes. I'm trying to talk about Dragonite. I got confused, but it's fine. It still works. So there's one arcade where Eric really wanted this Lapras, and next to Lapras was a Dragonite.
You wanted the Lapras, and I was invested with you.
So Eric wanted this Lapras.
Devon
wanted
a Dragonite for his friend.
You got the Lapras. It's your Lapras.
Yeah, but I was trying to help you win it for your friend.
Yeah,
but I do have it now.
Yes, and then I put in maybe like $8 and walked away, and then Eric put in maybe like $30 and won it eventually.
It was very sad.
But next to it was this giant Dragonite. And again, the size of these plushes, they're probably worth $40 to $50.
Oh, yeah, at least 30.
In the 30 to 50 range, if we were to buy them in a store, is the size and quality of these plushes.
100. They're like toddler sized for some.
They're
of them,
big.
I would say.
So Eric tried to win the Lapras, or I tried to win the Lapras, couldn't. Eric tried to win, eventually did. I tried to win the Dragonite, gave up. Like 2 weeks later, we're in a different city, and we walk into a brand new arcade, and there's a claw machine with a Dragonite. I'm like, oh look, it's the Dragonite. I put the quarter in, I pick it up, and I win it on the first try. And I'm just like, this is why I'm addicted. Because it is gambling. Because we put like $30 into a different machine in a different location, and didn't get anywhere, and then I win it on the first try here. I got this $40-ish value plush for 60 cents, because I won it on the first try.
If you don't include all the other tries.
I won this plush on the first try for 60 cents. I won nothing on the other plush for $30 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's oh man, if only I had done this machine, I would have won it sooner.
Mm-hmm. And
that's the gambling addict. I think I told the story once, where the very first time I walked into a casino with a friend, he said, okay, sit down at this machine. This is how a slot machine works. He's like, you put the money in and you press this button. And I put the money in, I pressed the button, I won $40, and I said, oh, I have a problem now.
Yes.
What were we saying?
Well, it reminds me of, like, when I was trying to get the Lapras, right, and I gave up in such, like, the Lapras was moved around, like, you know, I was, like, decently close to getting it, I get, maybe, you know, you can never really tell, but I was like, you know what, I spent however much money, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm cutting myself off. I walk over to Devon. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. We walk around. Within 5 minutes of leaving that Lapras, I see a small little girl holding a big stuffed Lapras, and I'm like, there's only one machine in here with Lapras. That was the Lapras I was trying to get, and she just got it. Which I'm very happy for her. I'm glad that little girl got a cute little Lapras, and now they can be best buddies forever, and they can grow up together. That's very sweet. Also, that's just wild and insane that, like, oh yeah, if you just played 1 or 2 more times, you probably would have gotten it. But that's also, like, the meme, and also the
Minecraft Diamond meme.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, or like,
it's just it's the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, it's such BS, and I too think I shouldn't gamble, really.
The sunk cost fallacy has a big grip on me.
Yeah. You go in, you treat it like a casino. I think that's the mindset. If I ever somehow went back to Japan or something and went to an arcade, I would be like, I have a budget of $200. This is all I'm spending. I'm treating it just like a casino. If I win $2,000, I'm good. If I lose $200, it's whatever. You'll walk in, you make your own fun, you'll leave.
Terrible. I will say, I think one of the funnier sort of things that happened on this first night of arcade revelry is you made a comment after we had sort of both won multiple prizes and put them into giant bags that they give you for free, giant plastic bags. You made a comment and you said something to the effect of, I saw people walking around with giant bags full of prizes and thought that they might be plants so that the arcade makes new customers think that it's easy to win. But looking at our bags, I realize now that people do just actually win a lot.
Yeah. And some of the prizes are just kind of big. Like, if you win, like, anime action figures or whatever, like, they come in big boxes. And all of this on my end can be traced back to Devon, because Devon turned me into a problem. Because we entered an arcade, the first arcade ever, and we were looking around and we were like, oh, okay. And Devon was like, wow, look at all these crane games and prizes. Don't they look super cool, Eric? I'm going to play some. You should play some too. And I said, I thank you for the thought, but I can't play any because then I'll win anime figure prizes and stuff. And I've been battling with myself for years about if I should start collecting anime figures or just getting ones that I like, right? Because I know if I get one, I'll get it more. And so I've just been like a tattoo. And I'm like, I don't know what I would do with them. You pay, however much money, anywhere from $10 to $200, depending on what figure you're looking at. And it just sits there and it collects dust. And I don't know. I just don't think I can do that to myself. And this is the struggle I've been having. But they also look really cool. But by all means, Devon, you can go play. And you said, okay. And I walk around and I play the little ones where you can get like a little plush or a keychain or something. I'm like, oh, this can make a good souvenir or something. And you come back and you're like, here you go, Eric. This is like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster, right? This is yours now.
Dark Magician Girl.
What? And you go, yeah, this is Dark Magician Girl, the monster, right? She's like, with Dark Magician. And I go, Devon, what? And you go, here you go. Now you can start collecting. And I go, what? And you walk away. And I'm like, Devon, no. You don't understand. Devon.
I had won like 3 in a row for like no money. And Eric, because he wasn't really playing any, had no prize. So I had 3 prize and he had no prize. And I was using my skills for good. So I said, I will win this for Eric. And then I won it for Eric for like $2. And I gave it to him. I said, here's your gift. We talked about it, I think, on the show before. We've talked about how I'm like, I don't collect action figures or statues. Like, I like Lego, but like, that's it. But that's because Lego's like a medium and I love it for its like artistic merit. And I don't really understand buying statues. And you're like, I don't have statues either. But as you now have explained, it was more of a like a dam holding back the floodgates of buying statues, as opposed to genuinely not having an interest in statues.
This is
for you.
correct.
For me, I just genuinely don't have interest. For you, I broke the
I was
dam.
fighting for so long.
I'm sorry.
It's like being in a medieval battlefield. You're so skilled with a sword. You're fighting back your inner demon. Someone shows up with a gun, and you're just like, oh, whoops.
Yep. One of the things I didn't like about the machines is that they were voiced by I'm gonna say like a high pitch anime girl doing a voice.
Yeah.
So like they'd say like, "Oh, you're so close" when you like tried to get the thing, or when you're like when the claw machine's dropping, she'll be like, "Go, go, 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 go," or like something similar in Japanese, right? Like cheering you on and like going, "Oh my god, you almost got it."
It's
And
an
then
empathetic voice to
yes,
give
to cheer
you
you
moral
on.
support.
And just like a casino, if anybody in the building wins the jackpot, all of the machines light up and play music. So if anyone wins a toy, no matter where you are, they all start blinking and going like, yay, 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 winner, winner, winner. Which again is exactly what casinos do. So I'm like, oh, this is also very enticing. Like they try to get you to buy to put money in to play these crane games the way that like American casinos try to get you to like spin slots.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about how similar they are. Like
yeah.
there's a glass windows on the first floor at the entrance, but it's also very deep and there are multiple floors. And the first floor is the only floor with windows. So if you like aren't paying attention, it's very easy to just be like, oh, look at all the lights, and now, where am I going? And I'm not sure, and I'm learning the layout, and 4 hours have passed. What?
Yup.
So.
The first day when we leave the arcade, and we kind of walk back to the room, and we drop all of our stuff down, and we're like, oh no, we each won like 6 or 7 figures and plushes, and like we don't really have room. And we send a picture of all of our winnings to our friends, and we're like, we don't know what we're gonna do, guys. We won too many things. And me and you both kind of look at each other like, we can't do that again. Like, this is gonna be a problem. And then we did exactly what we shouldn't have done, which is we're both honest with each other, and we're like, this is a problem. We can't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we did is we each took turns being the addict. So like we'd be out for the day, we'd be having lunch, and I would pull out my phone and I would type arcade into my phone, and I'd be like, okay, there's an arcade 2 blocks down. So we'd get out of lunch, and I'd be like, oh, Eric, I think we should go this way. And you'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, yeah, we should go this way. And we'd walk that way, and I'd go, oh my god, an arcade. And you'd be like, Devon, we can't go in the arcade. We're addicted. And I'd say, oh, but come on, man, we should just take a look inside, and then we'd spend 6 hours in there. And then a few days later, we'd be out at lunch, and you would Google arcade on your phone, and we'd be walking down the street, and I would be like, what should we do? And you'd be like, oh, I think we should take a left here. And we'd take a left in an arcade, and I'd be like, Eric, we can't go in there, we're addicted. And you'd be like, oh, come on, we have to at least see what they have on offer, and then we'd spend 6 hours in the arcade.
Hooray.
Yay! So it's fine. I don't regret it at all. I just was already aware that I have an addictive personality and that this fed on my pre-existing issue. Obviously, I had a lot of fun. We ended up winning a lot. We spent a lot of money, but it was also very, very, very fun. Eric mentioned that he didn't really care about winning, including winning food.
Yeah. If some of the machines, you can get gummy bears or whatever.
I found that some of the food machines were easier to win because I guess like the arcade valued, like if the food is like a $10 prize and the toy is a $40 prize, it's 4 times easier to win the food. So I would win more if I was going after like the potato chips versus the Goku doll, and because I was really only looking to win, I would start doing stuff like that. There was one machine that I described partially earlier, which was the light machine. It's a big grid of lights, and the light goes around in a circle, and you're supposed to stop it on a specific spot, and if you stop it on that spot, then you win the jackpot. I've seen these in America before, and I also know how they are rigged. Basically, when you hit the button, the light doesn't stop exactly. It can go a little further or like stop a little quote unquote early or go a little quote unquote more than it's supposed to after you hit the button, because obviously it's completely digital and not like a physical thing. So they can totally rig it so that like you need an exact perfect hit. So it might look like, oh, there's only 20 spaces. I just have to stop it on one of the spaces. And so I technically have like a 1 in 20 chance of doing it, but like that's not real. Like what you can see with your eyes isn't real. The target's actually a lot smaller than it looks, etc. I know that it's a scam. It's fine. I wanted to win it. So the way it works is there's 3 different targets you want to hit. And each target will drop a physical arm that's holding up this precarious stack of boxes of like candy. And so if you drop one arm, then maybe some of them will fall down the hole. If you drop all 3 arms, then the whole tower falls down the hole. So
Whoa.
I walk over, and on like my 3rd try, I hit one of the arms, and a bunch of the candies fall in. I'm like, oh, that was exciting. On like my 3rd try after that, a bunch of the candies fall in. So I've now spent maybe like $3 to get like 20 candies. And then I bend down to retrieve my prizes. So I open the flap from the bottom. And because this is a physical, precariously stacked tower of candy over a hole only being held up by an arm, when I opened the flap to reach in and get my stuff, it just shook the machine enough that the candy fell in. Like,
Hey.
like the whole candy, all the jackpot.
That's what you
So
want.
I just spent like $6 to get 40 boxes of candy that
At
I think we
least.
valued at being about $1.50 each. So I got like $80 worth of candy for like $6.
Yep.
And I went, wow, that was fun. And I walked away and I shoved it in my bag, which was already overflowing from my other prizes. And I come back later to show Eric. I'm like, Eric, this is the prize I won. And they've restocked it with another stack of candy. And Eric is like, what is it? And I say, let me show you how to play it.
I suck at it.
So then I won the jackpot again.
Wow. Now
this
we
is
have
how-
like 80 boxes of candy.
80 boxes. So if you know what Pocky is, just kind of imagine that. It's not exactly Pocky, but just imagine Pocky. So we walk away with 80 boxes that I spent probably between $15 and $20 on.
That's value.
And I had a lot of fun playing the game and being like, oh my god, I'm so close. I need to hit the light. I gotta hit the light. I gotta hit the target. I can do it. I know I can do it. I'm really good at this game.
This would become one of your most addicted games. You
Yes.
won so much. We had to eventually ship boxes home of stuff, souvenirs, and you put some of that candy in it. Fine, makes sense. And you were like, oh, they're like also packing peanuts, haha. And it's like, true. And then we went to other arcades, and you kept playing, and you kept winning candy. And I'm like, Devon, what are you doing with all this candy? I don't like it.
But I liked it, and I still have a few boxes, and it was good.
Oh my goodness. It's been more than a month. I think. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, no, it's in boxes. They're good. They're all good.
Oh no, I know. Yeah. I'm sure they're shelf stable, but it's just like that you still have some.
Oh, well, because I stopped eating it because the moment we got home, I went on a diet, and so I'm not eating any. And that's because I ate 60 boxes while we were there.
Yeah.
I would have like 2 boxes a day. Yeah, not good.
No.
Yeah, just think of them as like chocolate-covered pretzels. That's basically what they were.
Yeah.
So loved those. Loved the hook game. One of the other genres of these games were there's a box that is on a pole, and you have to like use the crane to like flip it upside down. Two poles. Basically, because the box is not a perfect square, it's like a rectangle. So there's a thin side and a fat side to the box, just like there is to any box. And so using the claw, you have to flip it so that the thin side is facing down so it falls between the 2 poles. And some of them were pretty fun and easy, and if you just did it like 15 times, you were basically guaranteed to get it. And some of them were literally impossible. One of the arcades, I was like, either the poles are too close together, or this is just like actually impossible because I cannot figure it out. But other arcades, we would do it, and it would work, and it would be fine, and it would be cool, and we got some cool prizes, it's whatever.
Hooray.
One of the games was, there's a box that's kind of squished between two poles, and you have this little finger, and the finger drops down from the ceiling, and you push on the box. And the idea is that if you push on the box with like enough force or whatever, it falls between the poles. And so me and Eric walk up to one, and I'm like, how does this game work? And he's like, I think you move the finger, and then it pushes it down, and it pushes it between the pole. And I say, that doesn't make any sense, because if you push it and it falls through, then where's the challenge? And if you push it and it doesn't fall through, then how do you know how to win? And he's like, I don't know. So I put in a single $100 yen coin, which is like 66 cents. That's why we keep saying that. So my first try, I'm like, I'm going to try to win this Majin Buu toy from Dragon Ball Z. And I move the piston over, and I press the button, and it goes down, and it pushes it through the hole, and I win it on the first try, and I went, oh, I guess that is all you do? Question mark? I never truly figured out how you're supposed to win. I just did on my first try.
Well, so I saw an Itachi from Naruto, and I was like, this would make a great souvenir for a certain someone I know. So I went, and it was the same machine, and I went to it, and I was like, well, this will be easy. I saw Devon do it. So I hit it, and it moves like an inch, but it's still in between the bars. But now there's like, it's further moved along. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. It moved a lot, but it didn't move all the way like Devon's. So then I kept doing it, and it would just barely move it. It would just be a gentle nudge. It would move it enough so that you could see it, but it didn't move. And I did it like 10 times, I think, and eventually it just pushed with enough force. And I think similar to like the crane games with an actual crane and they modify the grip strength, I think these finger machines just modify the finger pokiness so that it's stronger or weaker. That's my crane theory.
Yes. I believe that is how they work. But yeah, I'm just like, I wonder how this game works, and I intend to lose to try to like figure out how the game works, and I just win the first time. Like, well, okay. But yeah, I think our conclusion, some facilities were more scammy than others. Some of them were easy wins, some of them were difficult wins. And then
some of them. Mm-hmm.
And then I think that another factor is the sumimasen factor.
You were so close.
Sumimasen.
Sumimasen.
Sumimasen, which means, excuse me, please.
Pardon me.
So, basically, there's a culture there. Not expected. You can't guarantee. You don't walk in and think this will happen. But if an employee sees you struggling for a really long time trying to win a prize, they might walk over and open the cabinet while you're playing it, and pick up the plush or whatever, and dangle it over the hole so that the slightest breeze will push it in, and then lock the cabinet, and then walk away and pretend they didn't do that, and then you just push it in and you win.
Hooray.
And so there were multiple times where I'd be there and I'd be like, I'm so close to winning, and then the guy would come over and just like basically do it for me. I'd be like, oh my god, I just saved so much money. Thank you, you're my hero. It would feel a little like emasculating, but at the same time, it's like, I won.
Lulz.
It's like, hey, I got my toy. I'm pretty stoked right now. Those guys are so nice.
Yeah, I don't, it's very interesting. I would say don't be rude about it. I would say that, like, you can expect it to an extent, because at the very least, as we've said earlier, it could go out of bounds, and, like, that just needs to be reset. But I think, if you see an employee, you can be like, sumimasen, and they will either help you or reset it, and if they are very nice, they will, like Devon said, basically dangle it off the edge. Because there was one guy, I spent so much money. I was at the same machine for legitimately 15 minutes probably trying to just win this one figure. And he just came over and was like, he didn't say anything. He just opened it, just kind of looked at me with a empathetic glance and, helped me out. Closed it up, and I'm like, thank you.
So I have two I think there's two big stories to tell arcade game wise.
Okay.
So one of them is that in one of the sort of bigger arcades we found towards the end of the trip, I found a crane game that had the 4 plushes from Five Nights at Freddy's. There's a Freddy, a Foxy, a Bonnie, and a Chica. And for whatever reason, the out-of-bounds zone on this machine was enormous.
Yeah.
So the claw couldn't really reach the edges, the sides of the machine. So if the plush was anywhere but in the, I'd say like this, the middle 50%, the middle half, then you physically couldn't reach it. So what would happen is I went and I'm like, I'm going to pick up Freddy. And it picks him up and it tries to bring him closer to the hole, but he falls halfway through, going to the hole and then he lands. Sometimes he falls halfway through getting to the hole and he bounces and he actually ends up further away than where you started. Uh-oh, you lost progress, oh well. Sometimes he bounces and he lands out of bounds. And if that happens, you have to sumimasen and call people over and have them open it and reset it. And I would say that about every third time I grabbed them, they would fall out of bounds. So if I didn't get them in the first 3 tries, they'd fall out of bounds. I spent so much time at this machine.
Yeah.
Mostly because I wanted to win 4 times.
Yeah.
But because if I missed him and he fell out of bounds, I'd have to wait for someone to come over or go and find them. I ended up just trying to go and find people, which was its own thing.
I think you were there for an actual half hour.
Oh, yeah, at least an hour.
I would come over, win a thing, check in on you, and you'd be like, I have to get it, I have to do this. And I'm like, okay. And I would leave, spend 20 minutes elsewhere, come back, be like, are you good? And you're just like, Eric, you don't understand.
There was one time when you came over to check on me. It was out of bounds. I was sort of waiting for someone to come by and help. You left. You came back. And I was still waiting for someone to come by and help. I hadn't made any progress since you'd last checked on me because there was no staff in the area.
Yeah.
To help me. So that was that may have been one of the times I got super frustrated. One of the other things, and again, gambler's fallacy. I think I won Freddy on my 3rd try. I think I picked him up, dropped him, he bounced further away, picked him up, went in the hole, got Freddy, cost me maybe $2. Then I got Bonnie. I probably spent about $10 on Bonnie, which is 30 tries, something like that. So pick him up, drop him, whatever. Get him, oh my god, $10, pretty neat. And I have 2 of them. Then I go for Chica. I get Chica on the first try. So Freddy has cost me $5. Bonnie has cost me $15. Chica has cost me 60 cents. And now I'm on Foxy. I think because Foxy only has 1 arm, the claw has a more difficult time holding on to him once it's grabbed him.
And so what happened?
So I spent between 40 and 50 American dollars on Foxy. I spent over an hour on Foxy.
Double oof.
I had to keep going and finding them and being like, Sumimasen, can you please help me? And they come over and they would reset him to the middle and then they'd walk away. And I'd pick him up and drop him and he'd bounce out of bounds and I'd either have to sit there or I'd have to go find them. And the difficulty with going to find people is that I'd have to leave my stuff behind or take all my stuff with me. I'd go and find them and say, Sumimasen, and they'd come over and they'd put it in the middle and then they'd walk away and then I'd pick him up and drop him and be out of bounds. I'd be like, I'm going to kill someone. And then the very last thing that happened was I picked up Foxy, and I brought him, and he was going to the edge of the hole, and he drops a little too soon, and he gets basically caught on the hole itself, he's doing a chin-up.
So
he's completely
wall.
over the hole, but his chin is on the plastic, so he hasn't fallen in yet. There is no way for me to mess this up. It's physically impossible for the claw to come over and do anything.
Scoop him up.
If it nudges him, then he falls in. There's nothing to mess it up. So I basically, there's no twist here. It's just, I just stared at him and I'm like, you monster. You've been tormenting
Balls.
me for an hour. You took 40 of my hard-earned dollars. Cheek only cost me 66 cents. You're over here costing me $40. And you couldn't just go in the hole. You had to do one last screw you and dangle yourself over the hole. And I put in my last quarter, and I knocked him in, and I got my Foxy, and I said, I hate you so much. It had to be you. It had to be you, Foxy.
Wow.
I got them.
Okay, nice. Nice. What was the second story?
On the first day, when we won all these prizes, and we got
for
back
the
to
record,
the hotel. Yep.
This is the first day we went to an arcade, not the first
Yeah,
day
it's not the
in
first day in
Japan.
Japan. It's actually like the second city, I think. And we ended up coming home. I think I had something like 36 figures and plushes by the time I got home, because I listed them all on eBay, and I've sold a couple already, because I do have an eBay store, so I have quite a few. So I had my succubus, and I had my actually, let me look right now. Date a live Buy Cute Bunnies figure, tying the knot with an Agami sister, Dragon Ball Z, Blood of the Saiyan, Super Saiyan Broly, Nefertari One Piece, Spider-Man 2099, Pikachu, Esper, the Mitsuri Kanjuro Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia Pop-Up Parade, Harley Quinn, oh no, this is yours actually, oh, no, whatever, Buy Cute Bunny Alabedo, Dragon Ball Z Vegeta. So I had a lot of these. And on the first day, we're like looking at them, and haha, it's so funny. Devon has all of these like lewd anime girls, when that's just the opposite of Devon's vibe. Haha, silly, it's funny, haha. And you ask me, you say, Devon, which one is your favorite? And I look at the girls in bunny-made outfits that make me uncomfortable. I look at the girls in bikinis that make me uncomfortable. I look at the lewd demon wearing a thong, with bedroom eyes that makes me uncomfortable. And I point to one of them and I say, I like that one. And it's a girl, very confidently standing, wearing like a crop top, so not too much showing, but with like just a look of confidence. She's not giving you bedroom eyes. She's not being like cute and innocent and sweet. She's just standing there like strutting her stuff. And I'm like, I like that one. She looks like cool and confident. And she's not lewd, she's just chilling. And Eric's like, okay, I see how that fits your vibe. And I'm like, yes. Kind of the same way that Eric had played that Gundam game and was like, I like this girl character you can play in as the game, because she's just like an anime girl. And we like tried to look up her name and couldn't figure it out, but whatever. This girl figure that I'd won sort of became like my mascot. It's like, oh yeah, oh my god, it's the girl. So Eric would sort of tell me who these people are. He'd be like, this character is from One Piece.
Albedo is from Overlord.
This character is from Overlord, which I still know what that is. This character is from Tying the Knot with an Agami Sister, which is, you said, a show where a guy has like a harem where there's like 5 different sisters who all want to fall in love with him or something.
Maybe. It's been a minute. I would have to see it.
You're like telling me these stories. You're like, oh, this is from this show, this is from that show. And you point to the girl I like, and you're like, oh, she's a horse girl. And I'm like, that's cool. That fits my vibe. I'm sitting here thinking like a girl from Montana who like, lives on the countryside and rides horses on a farm. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So we're maybe like a week or two later, we go to an arcade, and I'd be like, oh man, I want the Vegeta. And Eric would be like, look, Devon, it's your girl. I'd be like, yeah, look, my girl's in that machine. I already have one of her though. It's fine. And then we went to a different arcade, and there was a girl who was clearly part of the same set. Right? Same animation style, same background. She's looking pretty cool. She's wearing like a leather top and like jeans. And she's like, looking, her hair's covering one of her eyes, and she's looking straight forward, and she's got that like cool aesthetic. I'm like, oh, she must be her friend. And Eric's like, yeah, she's from the same show. I'm like, oh my god, I need to win her so that they can be friends.
Horse girl.
Yeah, another horse girl. They can be friends. I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. She's wearing like a leather top, like a riding, like a jockey shirt, So that I win her. I'm like, oh my god, I have 2 of them. And then one day we're walking down the street, and we pass a poster, and Eric says, oh, Devon, that's the show. I'm like, what? He's like, that's the horse show. And I look over, and I see all these girls. And I'm like, oh yeah, like what's it about? He's like, yeah, that's the show where the girls are horses. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, the horse girl show that you like. I'm like, excuse me, like what? I'm like, horse girls, like girls who are into horses, like farm hands who ride horses and like they like ponies. He's like, no, Devon. These girls have tails and horse ears. They're half human, half horse. And in their show, they race track. They're race horses. They're like furry, like they're horse girls. They're not horse girls. They're horse girls.
Yeah, what's so hard to
my
understand?
My entire life crumbled before my mind. I went, excuse me?
They're horse girls.
And he's like, yeah. And we get back to the hotel, and he shows me the box, and he's like, look, this is her tail. I'm like, I thought her hair, because like, so her hair goes behind her shoulders, and then kind of comes out again by her feet. I'm like, I thought her hair was just really long. He's like, no, that's her head hair, and it ends there. That's her tail.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And see these things? I'm like, yeah, those are little like ears that are built into her hat. You know, the way that people will wear like a hat that has ears. He's like, no. Those are her actual ears. Those are her real ears. There's holes in the hat for her real horse ears to stick through.
Devon, look at her head. There's no human ears shown.
I'm like, oh, so this is like a furry thing? And Eric's like, no. It's even funnier than that. And this is where I go from like ironically, like, oh, haha, this is my mascot for the trip thing, to still ironically loving everything about what this franchise is.
What is the name of the franchise?
The franchise is called Pretty Derby. There's a Japanese word before it. I don't know what it is. It's called Pretty Derby. In the show, all of the show is about anime high school girls who run races. So it's a sports anime about girls who run track. And all of the girls have tails and ears, horse ears. So it's like, oh, like in real life you race horses. In the show, people are part horse and they run track. Apparently it's very popular in Japan, and there's like a mobile game for it, and this stuff is not available in America, but like it's huge in Japan right now, which is why there's their stuff everywhere, and like it's known about in America. We just don't have a lot of the merchandise or the video game.
Devon, don't lie.
We don't have the video game.
We don't have the video game, but this is so big in America. What about the Kentucky Derby? Okay, so
while we were in Japan, it just so happened that the Kentucky Derby was happening in America. And while I was Googling it, I saw that there was actually an expo at the Kentucky Derby. Basically, the show sponsored the Kentucky Derby so that like they'd show their advertisements, and there was this spot you could go to at the horse racing place to like take pictures with cardboard cutouts of the girls. So like it's a big show. Like I would not be surprised if some people listening to this had heard it. But what gets to me is that it's not just like, in a world where people are part horse, they race each other in high school, right? That's not the premise. The premise is that these girls are actually reincarnations of actual, real world, our world, real horses.
Race horses, no less.
All of the girls in the show are real horses. The characters I have on my shelf are named Rice Shower and Cheryl Grand and Mr. CB. Because those are the names of real, actual racehorses that did like the Triple Crown or ran in the Kentucky Derby. These are real horses. Some of them ran and died in the 1970s.
So
and the show is a fictionalized retelling of the real career of real horses. I believe I read a summary of season 1, and it's retelling the story of this racehorse, this famous racehorse, who got injured one year. Racehorse got injured one year, and then basically had to go on this like recovery journey to like be good enough to then race again the next year. And so the first season of the show is a loose adaptation where the main character is named the same thing as this real racehorse, and has the same hair color and all that stuff as this real racehorse, and when they see her in the show, they refer to her with the insane name of whatever this horse's name was, and her story is that she's a model racer, but she got injured, and now she's recovering to get ready for the big race next year.
Spoilers.
And if anyone follows real horse racing, you know that racehorses have just the most insane names ever in general. Like, the names of racehorses is already just really, really funny with how, like, absurd they are. So when you have a high school anime show with characters just calling each other nonsense, like, hey, Race Shower, what are you doing? You know, I broke my leg because in the 1970s, the gigantic chestnut horse that I'm based on also broke his leg. It's just the funniest thing I've ever heard. And I went to their wiki, to the Pretty Derby wiki, which I will pull up right now. And when you go there, when you go there, you see all these characters. And what I was trying to do, I was trying to find the actual figure that I had I was trying to find, like, the name of the character I had a figure of, because I couldn't tell what her name was. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go here and, like, look at who is this? So if you go to any of the characters' pages, at the top of the page, before you see a picture of the cute anime girl wearing her school uniform, you see a picture of an actual horse.
The horse, even.
Sometimes the image is a terrible, like, screen grab from televised races from the 70s. And so it's just this horrific, like, terrible quality picture of just a real horse, and it'll say, like, Tamano Cross. And it's just this horse, just this real horse, and then you scroll down, and then you see an anime girl with determined eyes and really long white hair and ribbons in her hair, jumping up and down in, like, a go get 'em pose with stockings. But above the photo of the cute anime girl is just a horse. It is just a horse.
That's, gotta show them the source material.
Because in all of these wiki pages, it will tell you the real-world history of the horse before getting into the fictionalized version of the girl on the show / in the game. And I think that is the funniest thing I have ever heard. Because there might be some guy out there who's gooning over one of these anime girls who is based on a real racehorse, and I think that's so funny.
Your mind is so lewd, Devon. Get it out of the gutters.
It is the funniest thing. One of the funniest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal, apparently.
I will try to find the quote.
The quote.
Derby. So I once I found this out, once the horse gate were open, I was trying to read everything about it. I have not watched the show yet, but I was immediately like, I need to make an episode of The Absurds about this. I love just this concept. It's the funniest 5-sentence thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So I was just looking at the Wikipedia page, and the summary is, in a world very much like our own, great racehorses of the past have a chance to be reborn as horse girls with ears and tails of horses, as well as their speed and endurance. The best of these horse girls goes on to train at Tokyo's Trasan Academy, hopefully moving on to fame and fortune as both racers and idols. So they're horse girls.
They're horse girls.
They're horses. They're real horses. And I just would keep saying the phrase, they're real horses, just over to myself, over and over again. They're real horses. It's the funniest thing I have ever heard.
So after all of this...
At the bottom of the Wikipedia page, it says, Masayuki Gato, the 15th chairman of the Japanese Racing Association, showed his gratitude for Pretty Derby for its positive influence toward the horse racing community. This show has made horse racing so popular in Japan that, or this show is so popular in Japan, it has made actual horse racing more popular.
Yeah.
which then explained to me why so many of these arcade machines had plushes of real horses, real racehorses, because these were the unlicensed real horses that these anime characters are based on. Like, yo, if you're the guy who made this show, if you're making Pretty Derby and you make like a Seabiscuit character, that's one thing. You can sell your character, it has to be licensed. But anyone else can just make a Seabiscuit plush. And so there were unaffiliated plushes of real horses that were what the popular characters in the show were based on that you could also win in claw machines next to the plushes of the anime girls.
That's right.
Funniest thing I've ever heard. I looked at the 2 boxes I had won. I found out that there was going to be 5 in this series of them wearing, I guess it's like streetwear. Like one of them like leather jacket, skateboard, stuff like that.
It's kind of like a punk look, like a preppy punk.
Yeah, like 90s edgy, skateboarding girls with midriffs exposed.
No piercings or anything, but like leather, black.
Yep. So I'm like, I got 2 of them. And then one day we were out and we're like, it's the third horse. We got to get the 3rd horse. And then one day we were out and we're like, it's the 4th horse. We got to get the 4th horse. And we looked and the 5th horse released the day after we were leaving.
Womp womp.
And there was a genuine possibility we would not be able to get home because there were a lot of issues at the Newark airport in New Jersey, which if you follow the news, you may have seen because they had some issues with landing planes and a bunch of stuff like that. And so we were worried at one point, like, we might not be able to get home because they might cancel our flight. And in my head, I was like, if they delay our flight by a couple days, they have to put us up in a hotel. Also, I can get my horse girl. Unfortunately, our flight landed on time and it was fine. So I bought the 5th one.
Don't say it like that.
I got the 5th one on eBay, and so now I have all 5 horse girls. And I'm going to make an Absurds episode about the show. I have to watch the show now. And I genuinely don't care if the show is terrible and it's a slog to get through. Because these horse girls became a defining aspect of the vacation. It was something to continually look forward to when we went to arcades. I'd be like, oh, the new horse girl came out 2 days ago. Maybe this one will have her. And then if I'd find her, I'd be like, well, I know what I'm winning. And then, I'd play that until I won her. It's really interesting because one of them, I spent way too much money winning. And then when the next one came out at a different arcade, I put in maybe, I tried maybe 4 times. So I'm talking like $2. And then the guy came over and Sumimasan and just put it next to the hole. I'm like, okay, well, this one cost me $3, which offsets the other one costing me $30, I guess.
Wow.
So yeah, now I have my 5 streetwear horses. And I just think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's the funniest concept I've ever heard of. Every single thing about this combines to make the perfect absurds topic. And so if you guys like my normal content, my absurd series, you can look forward to my future Pretty Derby video.
Nice. I heard that the anime is so gorgeous. Like a year or 2 ago, people were comparing it to other anime, and they were like, why does this thrilling action anime have crappy animation and art design and whatever, and this weird horse girl anime looks beautiful and amazing, and I've never felt things like I have from watching this horse run.
I feel like if it's bad, that makes it funnier. If it's good, that makes it a miracle. The fact that you can have a perfect 11 out of 10 concept like this. And if you fumble the bag, that makes it funny, and if you pull it off, that makes it incredible. So I am actually hyped. I'm so hyped. It's so funny.
I will also watch this anime because, like you said, it kind of became a mascot of the trip. I am hopeful that it will be good. And we'll just have a nice time, and we'll be like, we just have this little gem, and we're just like, dang, horse girls.
And it is heard of. I posted on Twitter, I just wrote horse girls. I forgot what I tweeted. I would just tweet total nonsense, just like the word horse girl, or they're real horses. And someone who has been following me for years, since back in my Chris Chan stuff, just responded with Pretty Derby ? I'm like, oh no. He figured it out. He's gonna ruin the surprise. He's on to me. He doesn't know that it's ironic.
Except maybe it's not.
I mean, if I end up liking the show, I end up liking the show. But it's like, I love it for its absurdity, which is a level of irony. But I will love it, I will love it sincerely for its irony, if that makes sense.
You're kind of losing me. There's too much irony happening here. I think to an extent you either like it or you don't.
My love will be sincere, but it's because of its irony.
Hmm. And if it's good, it's just good.
Mm-hmm. I just wrote horse girls, period. And I did new horses, question mark, but there's so many old ones. That's when we figured out how many there were.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see a lot of the drama that we've been talking about on my Twitter if you scroll back to about May 2025. You can see the picture of Foxy hanging over the edge.
Balls.
Maybe that'll be the thumbnail.
Double levels. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode about arcades and horse girls, honestly. It's like a third of the episode now. Feel free to join us in whenever we decide to watch the anime.
Yes.
We can all suffer together. Or enjoy together. Who knows?
I'm currently making an Absurds episode about Superman. I'm trying to get out before the movie. And then I have one about... Technically, it's about Star Wars, but it's about The Wizard of Oz and Star Wars. So I want to get that out around when Wicked 2 comes out.
Wow.
So, like, once those two are done, I'll probably start working on Pretty Derby.
Then the horse girls grip your teeth.
Yes.
Well, until then. Goodbye, everyone. Don't forget to tip your horses, except don't actually. They don't like that.